Good morning. All right. Let's see if we can get some viewers on here this morning. Here we go. I am gonna come in there. Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Welcome back to the Buttonwood Park Zoo on this beautiful Sunday morning. It's Sunday, right?
Sunday fun day.
It's Sunday fun day here at the Buttonwood Park Zoo. Oh, looks like we got some nice people tuning in. Perfect. Ooh, hi from Swansea. Excellent. All right, we're just gonna wait for a few more people to tune in, but for those of you who are regulars at the zoo, you might recognize where I am standing, which is a little bit of a hint for the animal that we're about to see. You can see Jess in the background too. She's not the animal I was referring to, but she's also there, which is excellent. So friends, today we are going to see another wonderful animal here at the Buttonwood Park. So I'm gonna give you a few hints to see if you can take a guess. So our first hint today is that this is a native animal to the state of Massachusetts. What do we think? Any guesses so far? This animal lives right here. They live all over Massachusetts. Any guesses? All right, let's do another one. Here at the Buttonwood Park Zoo, we have 3 of this animal, 3 of this species. Any guesses? What Massachusetts native we have 3 of in our lovely zoo collection? Not yet? Ooh, we got some good guesses. Coyote, nice guess, Melissa. All right, how about this? We've got 3 of them, and they are all siblings with a very adorable themed set of names. Eagle, excellent guess. Not quite. Oh, bears, excellent guess. All right, last hint. This animal species has some lovely bright orange front teeth that they are going to use to not only eat their food, but to also build their homes. What do we think? Can we think of any animals that live in Massachusetts? Melissa's got it. All right, friends, if you guessed beaver, you are absolutely right. So I'm gonna figure out how to turn this around, and we are gonna go over to zookeeper Jess.
Hi guys. So here with me is one of my favorite animals here at the zoo. Like Sarah said, we're going to be showing you some of our North American beavers today. And right here, whoops, she's ready to go. We have Miss Hazelnut. So Hazelnut is one of our 3 beavers. I'm going to stop talking. She's really hungry right now. Let me grab that there. So she is joined by her 2 siblings, Chestnut and Walnut, and they all live in our beaver habitat. These guys are going to be turning 8 this year in July. Beavers on average will live until their 20s, 25 is usually the max that they'll live.
I'm gonna come in and join you.
Yeah, come on in here. Where are you going, Hazel? You're going the wrong way.
You wanna tell us what she's eating there?
Yes. So right now we have a little buffet for her. We've got some romaine lettuce, some broccoli, some apples, some grapes. We also have some sweet potato and carrots as well. And she's eating some rodent chow, which is some formulated pellets there. So these guys are rodents, which is why they're getting rodent chow. And they're actually the largest rodent in North America and the 2nd largest rodent in the world. The only one that's bigger is the capybara, which is found in South America. So if you can zoom in on those teeth that Sarah was talking about, you can see that they're quite large. They have a set of about 20 teeth. They have those very large front incisors, so those big 4 orange teeth. Those are going to help them not only chew through this stuff, but they can chew through different trees. And I don't know if anybody has any guesses as to why they're orange. It's not because of lack of hygiene, but it's actually because their enamel around the tooth is fortified with iron. So So if you want to think about strong teeth, these guys are it. And those front incisors are constantly growing. So they would just grow and grow and grow, but because they're chewing on trees, they kind of file themselves down.
Now, Anastasia, age 5, wants to know if they like to eat oranges.
Do they like to eat oranges? So because oranges have a lot of citric acid, we don't give them too many oranges just because it's not something that they would eat in the wild. We will give it to them once in a while just for enrichment, and they do enjoy it. But it's not part of their everyday diet. So out in the wild, these guys are going to be eating mostly leaves and trees like aspen and cottonwood and willow. And they'll also eat vegetation on the water, so duckweed and lily pads, they'll eat those as well.
Excellent. Nice little above you. Now, Corbin, age 7, was asking what they use that tail for.
That is a great question. So beavers are famous for this really long, flat, scaly tail. And this has a variety of uses. I like to point out 4 different uses that this tail is used for. So number 1, they're going to use it for communication. So what these guys can do when they're in the water and they're worried about predators or something scary is around them, they're going to slap that tail on the water really hard, and that's a way of warning all the other beavers around that there's something scary around, so they better go run and hide. So number 2 is they're going to use them when they go for a swim. So these are semi-aquatic animals. They're going to spend half the time in the water and half the time on land. And when they're in the water, they're going to use that tail to kind of steer them around. Another use for that tail is balance. So when they're on the ground and chewing through trees, it kind of acts as a little base for them to sit on so that they don't fall over. And the last thing that they use this tail for is for fat storage. So in the winter, when it's really cold, they can use the fat reserves in their tail to kind of keep them warm. And in the summer, they can use it to kind of radiate some of that heat out. So it's kind of a good way to keep their temperature regulated.
Excellent. We've got some really good questions. Charlotte, age 5, wants to know if they're soft.
They are soft. So these guys have a very unique coat. They actually have 2 different layers of fur. So on the outside, you'll see that really coarse kind of hair. And then underneath, you see that kind of fluffy stuff. Really soft fur. And these guys, beavers, were actually hunted way back when, back in the pioneer days, almost to extinction, mostly because of this fur, because it makes really good hats, apparently, and coats and stuff like that. So these guys were hunted a lot for that. They were also hunted because one of the cool things that they have are these scent glands, these castor sacs that produce castoreum, which is a kind of a scent gland, scent oil, and that was used to make perfumes and medicine, so they were hunted for that as well. But back to your question about them being soft, yes, they are. And not only does it keep them nice and warm, but it also helps them when they go underwater, keeps all the water from getting to their skin. So it's kind of like having a little wetsuit when you go underneath the water.
Excellent. Scarlett, age 7, wants to know what their predators are.
That's a great question. And these guys do have a number of predators. So Sarah told you that they're found around here, but these guys are found all around North America. So pretty much anywhere where there's water in North America, that's where they'll be. So they have to worry about a variety of different predators. So coyotes, wolves, bears, otters, birds of prey like hawks and eagles, lynx, bobcats, mountain lions, so there's a number of them. But because they spend half their time in the water, it's a great way to get away from predators that can't get to them.
We have some great questions too about how old can they get?
How old can they get? So these guys tend to live into their early 20s. About 25 is the average age for these guys. And all of our beavers here at the zoo are going to be turning 8 years old in July.
Can you tell us a little bit about how well they can see? Allison really wanted to know.
Another good question. So these guys are a nocturnal species. And you'll see with a lot of nocturnal species that they don't see very well. And rodents in general don't see very well. So you can see that she has very small little eyes there. They're very nearsighted. They do have some color vision, but their sense of sight is one of their weakest senses. They're going to depend on their hearing, which is very good, and their sense of smell, which is also very good.
Great. I know Kaiden, age 9, wanted to know if they could hear well, so that's a great answer for that too. Sam, age 6, was wondering how fast they can swim.
swim up to 6 miles an hour. So they're gonna, if there's nothing around, they'll kind of float a little more lazily, but they can go pretty fast. And if I can see if I can get Hazel to stand up right now, and she'll show you how she uses her feet to kind of propel her. She's very busy snacking right now. Hey, you.
Can you tell Elizabeth, age 7, how many babies they can have at a time?
Yep, so these guys will have a litter. So they'll have anywhere from 1 to 9 babies at a time, and the babies are called kits. But generally these guys are gonna have usually about 3 kits at a time. And this will all depend on what is available to them as far as food goes. So that if there's lots of food around and things are good, they can have babies every year, and they can have pretty large litters. But if there's not much around to eat, they're gonna either not have any, or they're gonna have fewer kits.
Excellent. Mason, age 5, was wondering what their favorite foods are.
Favorite food. So here at the zoo, we kind of spoil these guys. They get all kinds of fruits and veggies. They really love this rodent chow, but they like the sweet stuff as well. They like their fruits. And we'll actually cut down different branches of trees here around the zoo, and we'll give them to that as well. So they love to gnaw on trees, and that's really good to keep those teeth from getting overgrown. And it's also good for them. It gives them some enrichment.
Jameson, age 7, is wondering if they're mean to dogs.
Are they mean to dogs? So these guys will pretty much kind of hide away. So these guys are very reclusive. You probably don't see many beavers out in the wild, or maybe you do if you're hanging around the wetlands, but they're gonna hide a lot. So and they're also nocturnal, so most of their activity is gonna be at night. These guys can defend themselves pretty well though. They're very territorial, especially with other beavers. So these guys will scent mark their territory, and they'll kind of tell all other beavers to go away. And these guys have been known to even fight to the death to keep their territory.
Oh my goodness. Abby, age 7, is wondering, why do they build their dams in the water?
That's a great question. So we've talked a lot about how they're going to hide from predators, and one of those things is that they need to be in the water to get away from all these other animals that can't use the water. So these guys will build those dams to stop rivers and kind of create this wetland area. And that's why these guys are known as the architects or the engineers of the animal kingdom, because they actually create these whole habitats. These guys are also known as a keystone species. So what does that mean? Because they build these habitats for animals, all these animals rely on beavers for their homes. So things like ducks and frogs and birds and even different kinds of plants. And the animals that rely on those specific plants, these are all reliant upon beavers, and that's why beavers are very important. And that's why they're known as a keystone species, because if they weren't around, then none of those other animals would be around either.
Hi, bud. I'm not the one with food. All right. Now, I know that we had a couple latecomers, so Gabby, age 11, was hoping that you would reintroduce us to our friend here.
Hello there. So yes, this is Hazelnut. She is one of our 3 North American beavers. She's about 8 years old, and she's joined by her 2 siblings, Chestnut and Walnut, her 2 brothers, and they live in our beaver habitat here at the zoo.
Lainey, age 7, wants to know about how long they live for.
So on average, these guys will live into their 20s. About 25 is how long they're going to live.
Excellent. Now, Kaiden, age 9, is chiming in with another great question. How far can they swim without coming out of the water?
So they can swim pretty far. They're pretty active animals, and I don't know if you've gotten to see her back feet yet, but they have very large webbed feet, and those are what's going to push them through the water, and they'll use their tail to steer. And these guys are well adapted to stay underwater for a relatively long time, a lot longer than I can. They can stay underwater for up to 15 minutes without coming up for air.
Oh my goodness. All right, Sydney, age 11, was wondering how much this one weighs and how big they can grow. Oh dear.
Where are you going?
Oh dear.
So Hazel here, she's one of our smaller beavers. Her brothers weigh about 45 pounds, and she weighs about 35 pounds. So beavers in the wild have been known to go anywhere between 40 and 70 pounds, although on record there was a beaver that was 110 pounds, which is pretty large.
So this kind of leads into Taj's question. So Taj, age 6, is wondering what they like to eat. Can you tell us again what you're feeding Hazel right now?
So Hazel is getting quite the little smorgasbord here. She's eating some carrots, some broccoli, some romaine, grapes, apple, and some formulated diet which is called rodent chow.
Excellent.
And out in the wild they're going to be eating not really so much fruits but more trees, which we also provide our beavers as well.
Great. Hi, Jacob. Hope you're enjoying. All right. Mackenzie, age 5, wants to know if Hazel gets along with the other animals at the zoo.
For the most part, she does. Sometimes she and her brothers will squabble like siblings do. They'll kind of push each other and they'll vocalize to each other to kind of go away when they're not feeling it. But I've also seen them groom each other as well. So they get along pretty well. They live with a variety of different ducks, which they get along with as well.
Elizabeth, age 7, was asking if they sleep in the water.
So these guys do need to breathe air. So what they'll do out in the wild is they'll build lodges. So these lodges are very impressive feats of engineering and architecture. They'll build these giant homes, which will be about 8 feet long and 3 feet high. And they'll actually have different rooms in these lodges. And that's where they're going to do most of their sleeping. These lodges are also pretty impressive because they have underwater entrances. It's kind of like a little Batman cave where they have their own secret little entrances to go into so that no other animal can go in there. And they're so strong and so powerfully built that even if even a bear came and got to the lodge, it wouldn't be able to get in there. So pretty impressive. So that's where they like to sleep.
So Nathan, age 8, has a follow-up question all the way from Chicago. He's wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about how long they sleep.
How long they sleep. So these guys, like I said, are nocturnal. So most of their activity is going to be from the early evening all the way until early in the morning. And they're going to be sleeping pretty much most of the day because they don't want to be out and about when all those scary predators are out. So they'll sleep pretty much about 8 to 12 hours a day, kind of like us.
Very cool. Kaiden, age 9, is wondering about how thick the fur is.
So I don't know if you can see from the camera, but they have 2 layers of fur. They have these coarse little hairs on top, and then underneath you see all this beautiful little fluff, this really soft stuff. It's about 1 inch thick, I would say, and it's very soft, keeps them very warm.
Excellent. All the way from Tucson, Arizona, Mackenzie, age 6, wants to know what their tails are made of.
What are their tails made of? I get that question a lot. So you can see that this tail is made up of scales. Inside there actually is a bone running along here. So there is bone in there, and inside is mostly fatty tissue. So it's a lot of fat storage. So in the winter, their tails will actually get a little bit bigger. They'll be kind of swollen because they'll have all that fat in there. But it does have blood and tissue and bone inside.
Very cool. Ella, age 8, wants to know if they have transparent eyelids.
So these guys have, yes, they do. So they can go underwater and they can actually see underwater because of that transparent membrane that covers their eyelid. It's kind of like having built-in goggles. So they can see underwater. They're still pretty nearsighted, but at least they can open their eyes and see so they don't bump into things.
Can you tell us again a little bit about what will happen to their teeth if they don't get them filed down?
Yes, so out in the wild, they definitely need to be gnawing on those trees and keep those teeth filed down. If they weren't able to do that, their teeth would get so large that they wouldn't be able to eat anymore, which is a pretty bad thing to happen to a beaver.
That doesn't sound too good. All right, we have Chloe, age 7, wondering how fast do they move when they're not in the water?
So these guys are much better adapted to get away from things in the water. Like I said, they'll swim about 6 miles per hour, but when they're on land, they can scurry away, but they're a little bit awkward and kind of waddle around on land. So this is why they need to be around water. They can't live anywhere else because they're not super great at walking or running.
Excellent. All right, we have another follow-up question about how well they can see or hear.
So they can't see very well. They're nearsighted, so they'll only see things that are really close to them. But their hearing is very good, and you'll see them kind of stand up and look. Sometimes Hazel will even do it while she's eating if she hears a scary noise. And that's one of the ways they communicate with each other is through not only vocalizations, but by slapping their tail around, they can communicate with each other. So it's important that they have very good hearing, and a sense of smell is really good too.
Excellent. Now this question's interesting. It says, why do they have a beak?
Why do they have a beak?
Maybe we can talk a little bit about their nose and mouth.
Yeah, so these guys kind of have, these guys are part of the rodent family, so they have similar snouts, I would say, as just some of the rodents there. So if you look, I don't know if you're able to see much inside because she's chowing away there, but they do have those 4 front incisors, those 4 giant orange teeth, and they actually have lips that can close behind them. So when they're underwater, they can still hold on to things and chew on things without getting a big mouthful of water. So they have very specially adapted features on the front. And you'll see with a lot of animals, like our bears have very long snouts. It's usually an indication that they either, that they rely on that scent. So if they have a very big snout, they usually will be very good smellers. So that's why they have a pretty prominent nose there.
Awesome. Chase, age 9, and Mason, age 5, are both wondering about the sounds that they make.
So not only will they communicate with their tail, but they do make vocalizations as well. They'll usually do it when they're annoyed with each other. I guess I can do a little impersonation.
Please do.
Okay. It's kind of like a like that. See, she just stopped and listened to that. You're welcome. And now that's on the internet forever. So they kind of sound like a very angry noise. So there you go.
Do they like being on the ground? And do they dig on the ground? From Charles, age 6, and Kaiden, age 9.
Do they like being on the ground? These guys don't mind being on the ground. Generally, the water is their safest place to be because they know not much can get them in there. But they will dig a little bit, and they'll actually use those very specially adapted front claws. They almost look like little hands. And they'll dig up mud, and mud is part of what they'll use to not only build their dams, but build their lodge as well. It's kind of like a cement to keep it nice and packed in.
Excellent. Now just a refresher on the name and kind of animal that we've got here.
So right here is Hazelnut, or Hazel for short. She's one of our 3 North American beavers. So we have her brothers here. They're still in our beaver habitat, Chestnut and Walnut.
Now we're getting some very, very strong praise for that beaver sound. So I don't know if you're feeling up to making that again. It's been requested by none other than Christy, your fellow zookeeper.
Oh, hi. Thanks for tuning in, Christy. You'd like to hear that again?
Yeah.
Not surprised. Yes, it sounds something like
Yes, very positive feedback on the beaver impression. You're kind of showing up Hazel here, which is hard to do because she's so cute. But
she's adorable.
can you tell Ella, age 8, about what color their teeth are?
So if you look at her mouth, and I don't know if you can see it while she's chewing there, but they have very bright orange
Show me your
teeth.
teeth.
And if you missed out before on what the purpose of that orange color is, it's because they have iron in the enamel of their teeth. So their teeth are very, very strong. So strong, in fact, that if they were to fell a tree or knock down a tree, they could chew through a tree that's 5 inches in diameter, so a tree that's probably about this big. They could knock it down in about 3 minutes, so it's pretty
3
impressive.
minutes. Oh my goodness. All right, Sharon has a great question. She's wondering about if there are different kinds of beavers around the world, and if so, what are the differences?
Very good question. So there are actually 2 species of beaver. So here we have our North American beaver, and across the pond we have our European or Eurasian beaver. There are some differences between them just in size. The European beaver tends to be a little bit on the larger side. Their muzzles or their snouts look a little bit different, but generally they're pretty similar.
Excellent. Now, Vincent, age 3, is wondering, why are they not going in the water right now? Why did we not do this encounter by the water?
That's a great question. And I'll tell you, it's because I went in the water the other day. So we didn't want a reenactment of that. Hopefully some of you tuning in were there that day when I fell into the beaver pool. So we decided to play it safe and bring Hazel over to our encounter space. It's also good enrichment for Hazel to be able to smell a whole totally different environment. So.
Excellent. Well, it looks like some of our questions are slowing down, so do you have anything else you want to share with us?
Do I, Hazel? Do I have any more tidbits of wisdom? I don't think I do.
How about you, audience? You have any other wonderful questions?
I could talk about beavers all day, so.
Kendra, age 10. Do they build dams to protect them from prey? Well, from predators?
That's an excellent question, and the answer is yes, they do. So you're wicked smart picking up on that. These guys will build dams and they'll create these wetlands that not only protect them, but will protect other wildlife as well. So things like ducks and frogs and fish and plants. Because they build these dams, they all have a nice little environment to hang out in, to eat in, and to be able to keep away from all these predators of North America.
Awesome. Kaiden is a rock star today with questions. Age 9, do they like mangoes?
Do they like mangoes? They probably would eat a mango. I have never given a mango to these guys. We'll have to try it maybe during the summer.
And I think that's it for today maybe.
Where are you going?
All right, I think maybe we're going on a little adventure here. Oh, all right, we can wander around too.
Sure. Walk around. Where are you going? So you see that eyesight there? She kind of bumps into things. She can't see very well. Oh, but she smelled that rodent chow.
We have some questions about whether or not they're trained to do any tricks.
So we haven't done a whole lot of training with these guys yet, but some of the things that we have been able to do is get them to go into a crate and get them to go onto a weight board so that we can weigh them. We've done some target training with them as well, but they're not only a nocturnal species, so they don't like to do a whole lot during the day, and they're pretty reclusive as well, so they don't like to be bothered all that much. But the three we have here have been pretty good. You can see how much she likes to go into her crate. So training has helped us kind of take care of them really well.
All right, well, thank you so much. I think it looks like Hazel's out of the snacks that she wants to eat. So I think that's quitting time. Oh, thanks for tuning in from all over the country, guys. Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you so much, Hazelnut. Friends, thank you so much for joining us at the Buttonwood Park Zoo this morning. Please keep tuning in every morning at 11 a.m. until our zoo opens again. We'll be here with our BPZoo to you virtual keeper chats. Now keep in mind that the Buttonwood Park Zoological Society, the nonprofit arm of the Buttonwood Park Zoo, relies on our memberships, on our events, on our programs, and on your visitation for us to stay afloat. So please, if you're enjoying these, thank you so much for tuning in, and consider giving us a donation to our emergency operating fund, either by clicking on the link below in the description of this video or by texting BPZoo20 to 41444. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe and stay tuned. Bye.